Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 30th ETP4HPC webinar. I am Pascal. I'm ETP4HPC's communication manager, and my colleague Gabriela is also here to help run the show and take care of the questions in particular. So for those of you who are not familiar with ETP4HPC, we are a non-profit association that promotes European research and innovation in HPC, and we are a private member of the EuroHPC JU. Before we start, I would like to give you a couple of practical information. So this webinar is recorded and you will receive the link to the recording tomorrow, normally. This webinar is in listen-only mode. However, you can ask questions using the question tool in GoToWebinar as shown here. You can submit questions at any time during the presentation, but we will answer them at the end of the webinar. It's easier for our speakers. Also, you can, if you want to have the slides from today's webinar, you can download them directly here in the webinar from the tool as shown here again. I think that's about it. So I would like to introduce our speakers. Welcome, Žiga and Aleš. Thank you for accepting to present HPC system in Slovenia. You can see here the bios of Aleš and Žiga. I'm not going to detail them. They are here in order of appearance, if I can say. So Aleš he coordinates technical support and maintenance for HPC Vega, and he will give an overview of the system. And then Žiga, he will then present some use cases. What is the scientific work that is done with the HPC Vega system? And as you can see, he has a long experience of scientific projects and EU-funded projects, so he's just the right person for this topic. So without further ado, let's move on to the presentation. So the agenda, but that's very quick. So Aleš, I will promote you to presenter if God, it's taking ages. Sorry for this. So Aleš, you should be able to share your slides now.
Hello,
Good.
just a moment. I suppose you can already see my screen.
You can see your slides, but not yet in slideshow mode. Yeah,
Yes.
now it's perfect. Thank you.
So thank you very much for the introduction. Yes, I would like to present to our audience here a bit of HPC Vega. We are the Slovenia's Peta-scale Supercomputer. So, first, we come from the Institute of Information Science, or IZUM for short. We are a public institution, and we have about 120 employees. 6 of us are dedicated to HPC, to supercomputing. But otherwise, the institute was known before for developing and maintaining information systems of public interest and nature. First and foremost, the library automation information system named COBIS, as well as Slovenia's current research information system and some others. For these two, we are also a UNESCO site. But the most recent addition, of course, to our roster was the installment of HPC Vega, which, however, is not just a project of the Institute of Information Science, but has collaboration of all Slovenia's supercomputing community. We are pretty much assembled around the consortium of the Slovenian National Supercomputing Network, or as we call it for short, SLING. And without the expertise of the other members, like the Institute of Josef Stefan and Arnes, as well as the University of Maribor and the Faculty of Information Sciences, the project would not be what it is today. So the whole Slovenia supercomputer community chipped in and is still collaborating with us in everyday activities. But some quick facts. So HPC Vega is the most powerful Slovenian supercomputer by far. But apart from that, we are also the only EuroHPC joint undertaking supercomputer in Slovenia. And we were also the first, actually, EuroHPC joint undertaking supercomputer in production, so the first operational. This is since April 2021. So we are pretty much 4 years and running. No, 4 years, 3 years and running. So the 4th year is now. We perform at a maximum of 6.9 petaflops, and the system is based around the Atos or Evidence Sequana XH2000 series. So of course the system. So not everyone needs a supercomputer. But I'm sure you know that it can be used for many things, because many scientific communities from different areas use it. So here just a few examples. So like earth sciences, like physics, medicine, chemistry, mechanical engineering, of course, as well. And nowadays, more and more in everyday life, is artificial intelligence. First and foremost, of course, machine and deep learning, but there are also others. But more on that probably later with Žiga. So how does this actually came to be? Of course, it has to be some financed, and it costs quite a lot. So it all started with a national project called HPC River, which was an infrastructure project with the objective to install a Peta-scale supercomputer in Slovenia. It was awarded about 20 million euro. 80% came from cohesion funds. 20% was chipped in by the Ministry of Education, Science and Sport. And later we were additionally awarded approximately 6 million euro, so the 35% share from EuroHPC joint undertaking. And the estimated cost of operation for the lifetime of 5 years is estimated at about 7 million euro. So this is for the financial construction. And with this, we then had, of course, a few design goals, what this computer should be. And first and foremost, we wanted it to be pretty much a general purpose supercomputer. And now, of course, not everyone needs a supercomputer, as mentioned, but it can serve many communities, and this was the goal, so that we could really invite pretty much any scientific community to compute and to research on our infrastructure. This is why we then have we have different parts of the supercomputer. So we have like the CPU and GPU partitions. We thought that it should be available also for high performance data analytics. Maybe not so common in other places. We also thought of extreme data processing, because we know we had users on that, and of course artificial intelligence, machine learning. And from the very beginning, Vega was designed to be hyper connected to other centers across Slovenia as well as Europe. and this is what we ended up with. So we have now a supercomputer which we can actually tailor a bit, or we can create sort of a profile for different communities. So if you are someone who needs only CPUs, you can use that. If you can compute also on GPUs, you will be able to use that. If your calculations need a bit more memory on that side, we have a certain compute nodes, so computers that have additional RAM, like not the regular 256 gigabytes that are in all our compute nodes, but up to 1 terabyte. So this is definitely a feature, as well as we feature two storages. So one is the large capacity storage, which is used for the store, so that you can store the data and what your calculations have produced. Whereas we also have high performance storage, which is smaller in size, much smaller in size, but allows for a higher throughput of data, so in excess of 400 gigabytes per second. But this is then, of course, meant, because of the size limitations, only for some temporary stored data, some interim results, which you then use for calculations onward. Yes, as mentioned before, we were the first operational supercomputer in the EuroHPC JU ecosystem. Later the same year, several other petascale systems followed. Then in the following year, also first pre-exascale system was installed, and by the end of last year, also two additional pre-exascale systems were installed in the EuroHPC GU ecosystem, so that now EuroHPC actually has 3 computers in the top 10 in the world. And of course, GU is already planning ahead. It has selected new sites for mid-range supercomputers, as well as most prominently, the first exascale systems are to be installed soon, so next year or the year after. As mentioned, so the rankings, there's a de facto world ranking. We debuted there on June 2021. So combined around the 60th place, let's say. We are the only system from Slovenia on that list. But of course, since then, because new systems are more capable, have new technologies, we have dropped quite a bit. But yeah, so we are already planning ahead into succession of HPC Vega. But before that, of course, we have still 2 more years to run. And for a supercomputer, you know, when you look at what it is and how it functions, first you have to know, so this is basically a cluster of computers. So you have hundreds, if not thousands, of computers. We call them nodes, from graph theory, of course. So nodes in a network and then connections between them. And but not every node, not every computer does the same thing. So basically, you group them together into clusters or into partitions, and then each dedicated to a specific area or task. So in green here on the bottom, you see the compute partitions, the CPU and the GPU partition. On the right-hand side, you see the storage parts of HPC Vega. And on the left-hand side, you see that we have additional nodes for logins, as well as some virtualization and nodes that basically run some services, some cluster services that manage the whole system so that it performs in unison. And as mentioned before, the whole system is connected to the internet. So we have the direct connection to the Slovenian internet backbone that is administered by ARNES, by the National Research Network of Slovenia. And from there, so the connection is also directly to GEONT, which is a multinational connection across Europe. So, and this slide basically shows a bit more on how the system is connected directly. So on the right-hand side in green, you see the CPU and the GPU partition. So the compute parts, these are actually installed in one specific room because these are for cooling. We use the direct liquid cooling, whereas the left-hand side, so in red, the storage and the login nodes, the virtualization nodes, these are installed in a different room, which is traditionally air-cooled, and the whole system, as mentioned before, is connected to the internet. For internal connections, there's the InfiniBand HDR fabric that connects everything together. So the compute nodes reside in such cabinets, as mentioned. These are called Bull-Sequana XH2000. So they are direct liquid cooled cabinets. We have 12 of those, and there we have installed 960 CPU nodes and 60 GPU nodes. What's the difference? Basically, they feature the same computers, but the GPU nodes have additionally to the computers some graphical processing units for each node, and this amounts then to a total of 240 NVIDIA Ampere 100 GPUs. On the CPU side, we also feature 192 nodes which have additional memory, so that have 1 terabyte of memory, while the rest has 256 gigabytes. This is how the room looks. So this is the air-cooled room with cluster services installments. And this is how the computers look from the inside, or basically in the compute parts. So this is a blade. We call blade is basically a chassis where these computers are housed. And as you can see here on the slide, in the middle, you see that 1/3 is one computer. So we have in one chassis, there's 3 computers in each chassis, in each blade, we call. The difference in the middle one is just that the cooling modules for the memory were removed, so this is why it looks a bit different. And on the right-hand side here, you can see how a GPU node looks like. It's the same chassis, the same type of blade, and 1/3 is the same because it's the same computer. But the 2/3 on the side you see are the GPUs, so the 4 graphical processing units. And what is also interesting to see here is that the black cables, you would say, are actually not cables, they're pipes, because they transfer the cooling liquid between the components. So all of this, all nodes have not 1 but 2 processors. So these are 2 AMD EPYC processors, 64 cores each. So each node has 128 cores, and it is connected via 100 gigabit per second InfiniBand HDR. And yes, these are basically the specifications. This is something that, of course, users then like to know or have to know, because otherwise because they want to optimize and really leverage everything that we can provide in that sense. So we have 960 CPU nodes, 192 of them feature the additional memory, as mentioned before. The processor itself is EPIC of the second generation, so Zen 2. They are called Rome as well. This is some schematics. Yeah, the GPU nodes, they have additionally the graphical accelerators, NVIDIA Ampere 100s. These are then the four in each node are connected via NVLinks in between themselves, and of course the node features the same 100 gigabit connections to the other systems, so that one can compute across multiple nodes, of course. A user on a supercomputer or an HPC Vega in particular, you can imagine your workflows or how the workings of a supercomputer, something like this. So the user connects via the internet to a login node, where the user then prepares the jobs, the calculations that he wants to calculate, and then submits these jobs into a job queue. So this job queue then accumulates all the submissions from all users, of course, and the so-called workload manager is responsible for assigning and allocating these jobs onto the resources that are available, so the compute nodes. So this is the workload manager then decides on which node this will be actually computed and when it will start. Yeah, this is that. For the storages, so every user on HPC Vega gets 100 gigabytes of home storage and 20 gigabytes of scratch. So this, as you can see here, we have the fast storage, so EXA5, and the Ceph, the large capacity storage. But there are also some other storages available which are actually outside of HPC Vega and are read-only, because we then get some software from there, etc. Yeah, software-wise, we feature, of course, many software, so many programs, because of all the different scientific communities, they use different programs. So these are then usually used with modules, which allow better and seamless work with different versions, even of the same software, because some group maybe needs one version, the other group needs the other version, so this has to be managed. The interaction with the supercomputer is usually text-based. So something like in this video here on the left corner side. But of course, graphical interaction is also possible, but graphical interaction is very inefficient in terms of calculations. So it's mainly used generally by the communities, if it's ever used, for the preparation of the actual calculations and jobs that are then submitted. Yes, we also feature a web UI for those who prefer that kind of access. But of course, not everyone comes with, or not everyone uses a software that is already installed. Many of our users, of course, develop their own software because it is science, and sometimes others are not even available, and you have to write it yourself. So we feature development tools, environments, compilers, the whole tool chains and everything that one would need. HPC Vega, of course, also has some advanced features, and we are developing new ones as we speak. So, but more importantly, maybe for access, which I think Žiga will explain a bit about as well. So HPC Vega, because of the financing, is divided in two shares. So we have the national share, which is about 65% of the capacity, and EuroHPC GU share, which is 35% of the capacities. Depending on whether you're coming from Slovenia or if you're coming from Europe, you then apply for projects in for that specific share. I assume that you are mostly from EuroHPC, so the 35% is what is offered by the GU to you via the calls. We also support and are part of several projects. Just here mentioned a few. Altogether, up until the start of this year, we have hosted and already over 740 users and over 280 projects. I think we are close, if not over 300 soon. But yes, on average, so active users per month are about between 150 and 200, let's say, depending on the month. We have between 45 and 60 projects running, calculating. And as mentioned, already with the design goals, we do have projects from various scientific fields. Now the number, yeah, and we are of course we try to be as inclusive as possible. So if you no matter where your research is, so where you come from, we are happy to be of service if we can. Yes, for the future, as mentioned, as I indicated before, we already plan a bit on what will be after the time of HPC Vega, because we are already know that we are only 2 years more to run, or maybe if we prolong it, but we don't know. Slovenia already has projects to build new facilities which will be able to, or which are intended to house new supercomputers. One here in Maribor, the second largest Slovenian city, and one near Ljubljana. This will feature. So basically, there are two almost identical facilities that will be built, and both will be able to house an HPC. We also, yeah, this is also a project that we are working with, that we are part of. It's called SMASH, so Machine Learning for Science and Humanities. So if you are a holder of a doctorate and you are looking for a postdoc position, maybe this is something you would wish to check out. As well as if you are a scientist and you wish to participate in HPC, or you already are participating in HPC, the Slovenian and Austrian HPC communities have an annual conference. We call it the ASHPC. This year it will be in Austria, in Gründelsee, and we also accept scientific papers. There's a scientific section, as well as something else, yeah, to check out. So thank you very much for your time. I hope I wasn't too long. Thank you.
Thank you, Aleš. That was really interesting. Thank you for sharing the details of the system and also the statistics about usage. That's really interesting. So now Žiga will present more about usage of the supercomputer. So now you should be able to share. And I would like to remind everyone that you can ask your questions in the question tool. We will answer all of your questions at the end. Perfect.
Okay.
We can't hear you, Ziga.
Yeah, I just turned on the microphone. Yeah, can you
It
hear
works
me?
best that way.
Okay. So, you can also see my presentation, right?
Yes, and it's in
Everything
slideshow mode. Perfect. Go ahead.
perfect. Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Žiga Zebec. I would like to extend a warm welcome on behalf of IZUM, so the Institute of Informational Science. Um, yeah, we are the section for supercomputing, HPC section. And today I will present a talk that is titled HPC Vega, Powering Scientific Discovery. And yeah, because we need to, I have a quite a long presentation, so I would like to just straight jump into the topic. So let's start at the beginning. So how can you actually get access to HPC Vega? So how do you become a user at HPC Vega? So first of all, you need to apply with a project, right? So you have three types of calls basically that are offered to you. So if you are a first-time user of HPC systems, you would probably apply within the benchmark call. This offers you a limited access regarding time and also computational resources, but it's good enough to just play around in the HPC environment, try out your code, try if everything's working, and just get familiar with the system. So when you have done that, you can step up a bit and apply your project for a development call. So this offers you a longer time period for developing your code, and it offers you also a little bit more computational resources. Then the final stage are the regular calls. So these calls are made for scientists that are already established and that know how to use the HPC environments properly, that need a lot of computational resources for their projects, and that also need a little bit a longer period to conduct their research. So where we start working with the projects is actually when the projects got submitted. So we check the submissions, if they're eligible to apply for this course, and also if all the technical details are sound in order to give access to a specific project or a user. So when access is granted to you, you typically get somewhere between 3 and 12 months of access, depending on the project that you have applied with. And of course, what we at HPC Vega need from you is a final report, which needs to be also submitted to us. So we have posted also a link with the descriptions of how to do that. But in general, we encourage our scientists to rather go and publish a publication or publish something, their research. And then if they do that, they can just only include the abstract of the publication, the DOI of this publication, and of course, please, if you are a user of at HPC Vega, don't forget to acknowledge us for the resources that we have provided. So this sounds something like that. The authors acknowledge the HPC River Consortium and EuroHPC joint undertaking for funding this research by providing computational resources of HPC System Vega at the Institute of Informational Science. In case you don't do that, you will get an email from me. Be sure of that. So I would like now to also to introduce you to the facilities that are using our capacities mostly in Slovenia. So first, This is the Institute Josef Stefan with the departments of theoretical physics, experimental particle physics, and reactor physics. Then the University of Nova Gorica with the Center of Astrophysics and Cosmology. Then we have the University of Maribor with the Laboratory of Physical Chemistry and Chemical Thermodynamics. Then at the University of Ljubljana, we have the Faculty for Mathematics and Physics with a Department for Physics. Then at the University of Ljubljana, the Faculty of Computer Science. It is the Laboratory for Cognition Modeling that uses quite a lot of our resources. Then also at the Institute of the Chemical Institute, the Laboratory for Molecular Modeling that is also using quite a lot of our resources. So what kind of science can you conduct on HPC Vega? So let's start with geoscience. So if you are a scientist involved in geosciences, what you can do all sorts of weather forecasts, climate change forecasts and simulations, forecasts of fires, seismology, earthquake simulations and predictions, volcano eruption analysis and forecasts, and all other things that need computational resources. So another field that is using our resources quite extensively is the field of physics, and more in particular space exploration. So these fields are involved in figuring out or looking at specifics in astronomy, using or simulating the particle physics at the Large Hadron Collider, investigations in black matter, black energy, supernovas, new stars, new planets, new exoplanets, and all the other stuff that can use a lot of computational power. Another very interesting field that is using quite a lot of computational power is actually my field. It's molecular biology. So in this field, scientists can use the computational power to do mechanism modeling, structure modeling, disease modeling, drug discovery, metagenomics, metatranscriptomics, metaproteomics, metabolomics, and all these kind of meta studies that need a lot of computational power in order to conduct this research. So also what is using quite the field that is using quite a lot of our resources is mechanical engineering, more in particular modeling liquid dynamics. This is particularly interesting in engineering new engines. Also, it is very important for figuring out aerodynamics of planes, cars, rockets, and all other things that that need good aerodynamics to be efficient. Of course, this doesn't involve only liquid, but it can also involve air currents and all sorts of other currents that need computational power in order to be modeled properly. So a very interesting field that is using a lot of resources is artificial intelligence, more in particular machine learning applications. So this kind of machine learning applications can be then integrated in various different workflows in different fields of science, and basically machine learning is used in in many different aspects of life, everything reaching from autonomous driving to simulating how people are walking, face recognition, speech recognition, in robotics, language models, large language models. So all sorts of machine learning that can be then introduced into already existing workflows or standalone applications. Yeah. So the major projects that or the major domestic projects that are running on HPC Vega is the development of the Slovene language in a digital environment. Another one is the development of meteorological and oceanographic test models. Another very important project is the development of smart AI-based hospitals. Also, an important project is the introduction of robot technologies in textile and fabric inspection and manipulation. A very prominent project that is running on HPC Vega is the Slovenian Genome Project. So in this project, scientists are doing a systematic study of the genomic variability of the Slovenian population. So basically, they hope also that the results of this project will enable us to do faster and more reliable diagnostics of rare genetic diseases for the population of Slovenians. At HPC Vega, we are also running a few commercial projects, and these are being run mostly by 3 companies, XLab, Gorenia, and InSilico. So with that, I would like to jump a bit more into detail on the scientific projects that are actually running on the Slovenian share of HPC Vega. So let's start with a deep learning ensemble for sea level and storm tide forecasting. So the researchers in this project have used a deep learning method, which is also used in the development of artificial intelligence to develop 2 different applications called Hydra 2 and Hydra T. So these applications can improve sea level predictions for coastal areas, especially during forecasted storms, by around 25% compared to traditional numerical models such as NEMO. These applications can independently learn from existing data sources. So this is a very important feature of these applications. They can predict weather extremes and contribute to the protection of people, the protection of the environment, and of course, our infrastructure. So here in the small table, you can see also how many resources have been used on this project to successfully conduct this research. So the next project I would like to highlight is an all-atom simulation of cellular senescence. So researchers under the leadership of Dr. Borishek are focused on cellular aging, also known as cellular senescence. So in the first part of the project, scientists actually need to construct a computational cellular model and propose a mechanism of cellular senescence. So then in the second step, they can introduce various molecules into this model and try to alter the number of senescent cells. So of course, they would like to reach as little number of senescent cells as possible. So by development of such models, this will contribute to future advancements in developing new therapies and medications for numerous age-related diseases such as Parkinson's, dementia, and of course others. Down in the table, you can see again the usage, the resources that have been used for conducting this research. So next, I would like to present the first principal catalyst screening. So maybe for those of you who don't know what a catalyst is, so a catalyst is a compound that makes chemical reactions happen more quickly and more efficiently without the catalyst being changed itself. So scientists in this research have looked at ethylene epoxide that can be used directly as a fungicide or a sterilizing agent, or it can be also used as a substrate for synthesis of different compounds such as ethylene glycol, glycol ethers, and many others. So in this kind of ab initio modeling, what researchers did, this is a kind of computational model or a computational method that is based on quantum chemistry. So scientists from the Chemical Institute identified prospective catalysts from the entire metallic block and then experimentally demonstrated their superiority. So if you do this kind of modeling, this actually allows scientists to bridge the gap between the first principle of simulation and the industrial application. Maybe just to mention, an ab initio modeling is modeling from the beginning. Again, down here you can see the resources that have been used in order to conduct this research. So next I would like to talk about the dynamics of the opioid receptor. So basically in the past years, structural biology provided a detailed molecular understanding of how morphine, fentanyl, and other related compounds actually react or interact with the human opioid receptor. So extensive atomistic simulations and graph-based analysis have been done on the opioid receptor. And what I figured out is that unlike fentanyl, which affects the body's natural pain relief system, fluorinated fentanyl and its derivatives actually bind to the opioid receptor at different conditions, meaning they bind to the receptor at lower pHs. That means that they can bind to this receptor only in inflamed tissue. So in this way, pain relief using fluorinated fentanyl derivatives could potentially be a much safer alternative to the use of fentanyl, which is a commonly prescribed painkiller. So these kind of simulations allow the development of much safer drugs, also painkillers. So now I would like to talk a little bit about visual realism assessment of deep fakes. So as mentioned before a bit already, artificial intelligence is increasingly applied in all spheres of human society, including science. And I guess everybody is realizing this by now. So there are also some potential dangers that come from using AI technology, especially AI image generation, so-called deep fakes need to be addressed, right? So scientists in Slovenia are engaged in the detection of artificially manipulated images, and they are using an ensemble of models with two convolutional neural network models, EVA and ConvNext, and they have trained these models on a deep fake game competition dataset. And actually, by doing that, our scientists secured the third place at the International Joint Conference on Biometrics. So with that, I would like to highlight also one of the projects that is running on the EuroHPC share of HPC Vega. So this is a project that would like to understand skin permeability by using molecular dynamic simulation. So skin permeability is essential to understand how skin can protect us from exogenous substances, such as toxins, okay? But at the same time, this same function is actually preventing drugs or medications from being delivered transdermally to a specific point. So researchers have actually modeled chemical permeation enhancers like water, lauric acid, geraniol, stearic acid, thymol, ethanol, and many others, in order to increase transdermal transport of drugs such as caffeine, and naproxen. So the delivery of drugs through the skin has great implications for clinical medicine. Why? Because it can potentially replace oral and intravenous drug administrations with topical drugs and allow the physicians for a better control over the location and the dosage of these medications. So with that, I would like to give you just a brief overview of some of the projects that we are involved at HPC Vega. So I would like to start with the InterTwin project. So this is a project that is focusing on developing digital twins for the research community. So then we are involved also in a postdoctoral program, as mentioned before by Aleš. So this is called SMASH. It's a machine learning program for science and humanities. Then we are involved also in a project called EuroMaster for HPC. So in this project, we are trying to develop a curriculum for certain universities in order that they can educate future HPC professionals. And then at the end, we are also involved in the Epicure project, what just kicked off a month or two ago. So now we have a new logo. So the Epicure project is about unlocking European level HPC support. So in case you are a HPC user and you have some trouble because of HPC architecture, porting, scalability, or some stuff like that, please don't hesitate, contact us, and we will try and help you get running on our systems. So with that, these are the references, basically the everything the references for all the science that I have presented today. So in case any of you wants to know more details about how this research was conducted, and just learn more details that I did not have time to present today. So yes, and then at the end, I would like to give you a few important connections that you can visit. So if you want to visit and have a book through the virtual HPC location of Vega, so you can go on this link and just have a walk and have a feel how it looks like. So then, and if you are more interested in becoming a user and using our resources at HPC Vega, so if you are from Slovenia, the first 3 links will give you the information you need to be successful in applying for a project at HPC Vega. And if you are from Europe and you would rather like to use EuroHPC resources, then the last 3 links are meant for you, where you can find the information to apply to this kind of projects. So with that, I would like to thank all my colleagues for helping me to make this presentation possible. And of course, I would like to thank also the European Technology Platform for High Performance Computing for giving us this opportunity today to present HPC Vega. And with that, I would like to thank everybody that was listening to us. And of course, we are very happy to take your questions. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ziga, and thank you to both of you. Actually, this was really interesting. We do not often get that much detail about what you do with the system, and honestly, that's interesting. So I hope you enjoyed this. Now, if you have questions, Alice and Ziga, now is the time to ask your questions. Sorry, I'm trying to share my screen again. Now, are you seeing it? Yeah. Okay, so we already have one question actually. It's a question from Mike Gilio. What is approximately the percentage of industrial projects on the Vega machine? 1%, 5%? And do they pay for the computing time? So I think you already said a word about this, but
Yeah,
yeah, it was you, Aleš,
so
who talked about this. So can you take the
yeah,
question?
sure. So I already answered to Mike. The industrial projects on HPC Vega. So you can divide them into two parts. So one is the commercial part. The commercial part is paid, and these do not use many resources. So maybe about 1% currently, but there's still room for improvement there. If someone would like to have commercial access, we can still provide that. There's also some open research from the industry. EuroHPC has in their calls, when you apply, there's an industrial track, industry partners or industry companies can apply in that track. So maybe that's something of interest for some of the users.
Thank you, Aleš, for this answer. Any other? I don't see any other question. We have a word of thanks. Thank you very much for the inspiring presentation. Keep the good work. That was a word of encouragement. So, no, I don't see any other question coming up. Okay, let's wait a couple of minutes. While we wait, I will announce the next webinar. So if you have an interest in EuroHPC systems, we are continuing our series about EuroHPC, about Jupiter, the exascale, the future exascale EuroHPC system in Germany. So our friends at Jülich have agreed to do this presentation, so it's certainly going to be very interesting. So in the meantime, any new question for Aleš and Žiga? No? Well, it must be because your presentations were crystal clear and they were indeed very detailed. So I hope everyone found information that will be useful to them. Maybe you'll have new candidates for your system in the coming weeks. That's what I hope. So it's almost time. So I think we will say goodbye. I would like to thank again Žiga and Aleš for their excellent presentations. I really enjoyed them, and I'm sure everyone enjoyed them too.
Thank you for the
Yeah, we have
invitation.
people applauding, so I think it was a success. So
Thank you.
thank you, and I would say bye-bye to everyone. Thank you to our audience. I did not thank them, but we had a number of people today, really very good numbers. So thank you, everyone, and hope to I'll talk to you again in about Jupiter. Bye bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye bye. See
Bye
you.
bye.